So recording's now on. Right, remembered again. I'll bring, without any further ado, up to Unit 3. On this, I went through some of this with you last time, didn't I?
Oh, we did, yes. And I had to look at the meanings of to make sure that what the command words were, just to make sure.
I'll remind you all the way through, don't we?
Yes.
But the rest of the units are quite practical, yeah? If you've got, how do you get on with the school?
They've sent it off for my DBS.
Yeah.
That I filled in the forms on Saturday, gave them my ID on Monday. And my checks come in within about 2 weeks, so hopefully after half term I should be able to start the first week or so.
Brilliant, because what this unit doesn't need you to be anywhere. Because it's an academic unit, we can do this unit prior to that. But when we go on to Unit 1, 2, etc., some of the evidence you need to gather, rather than write reams and reams about it, you can show me a document. What we do is we'll pick out documents from a couple of learners, one with some learning difficulty. It doesn't matter what it is. Take the names out and just call them A and B, and then you can use those as a reference point and just explain what they are, rather than have to go through that procedure. Anyway, we'll meet that when we come to it.
Okay.
In the meantime, I'm going to look at the 2 documents that will follow what we do as close as possible.
Yeah.
We'll come down to Unit 3. Here we are, and they are the suggested evidence unit.
Yep.
Save. And open.
Because I did have a bit of a look at this during the week, just to try and familiarise myself. But I've got to be honest, I think it did confuse me a little, because obviously I didn't know the theories or models or anything. Yeah,
it does. This is why I'm going to use the 2 documents in tandem that will explain everything really. What I'm going to do is I'm going to reduce that in size and then put it there. And hang on, perfect on. I said go away. Yeah. Where's the other piece gone now? And the other one is the unit amplification. And hopefully put those side by side now, that we can look at them individually. Now, this document gives you the unit aim. So it tells you quite a lot about the unit, what it's about, and what it's supposed to do. Yeah? So it's good background to read through that to say, well, that's what I'm aiming towards. Yeah? And as you look at that, it'll show essential requirements. It's a prerequisite for Unit 1, developing teaching and learning, and Unit 2. There's a requirement for learners to be able to analyse and demonstrate their understanding of theories and principles and models of learning, communication and assessment. It's a knowledge-based unit, so therefore there is no requirement for assessment-based evidence on teaching practice. However, it's essential that principles and theories draw on workplace experience to make the theory more relevant. In other words, work you've done before, you can actually match these theories to what you've done before from experience and say, yeah, we don't use that, we use this, and the reason we use this is such and such a thing. Yeah. So I will highlight this one again now. Now, for some reason, they made this into the first learning objective into 4. But it could have easily been, that could have been LO1 and this could have been LO2 because they follow the same pattern all the way through the unit. Yeah. So it's looking at analysing theories, principles and models of learning. Okay. On the other document, when you get to there, it will give you a bunch of people. Yeah. So on these, we've got some of the information is on the VLE, on those other documents. You can read through those. But secondly, if you're not sure about something, or look at knowing how, for instance, by RILE, just Google it, see what comes up. Right, and then always suggest, in all cases where you're going to use some, written document, yes, it needs to be referenced, but what I generally ask you to do is read the piece and make some notes, then write your little piece off the notes. That way, plagiarism is cut right down to a minimum.
So it's more likely that I won't copy word for word.
Exactly. You're doing a synopsis of what it says rather than, covering in detail. We all, well, I explained that last time, didn't I, that all of the work has to go through a PlagScan system. But we make sure we don't put your references through, otherwise it would show right up, But that's how it works. So again, the theories and principles and models, procedural, declarative, knowledge, Anderson, skills development, Cagney, scaffolding learning, Bruner, and Vygotsky. You'll see Vygotsky appears in quite a lot of these areas because he's had a lot to write about it, and he's quite an interesting guy, actually. I've read some of his work. Inductive learning versus deductive learning, Bruner and Ausubel. Approaches, situated approaches to learning, Lavra and Wenger, and banking concept of education, Freire. Competency-based models, learning as a change in behaviour, learner-based models, Dewey and Rogers, constructivist approaches, formal and non-formal learning. It goes on from there a little bit as you come into 1.2. So once you've had a look at some of those guys and made some notes about what you want to say and in your analysis of them, and I would remind you on this that this document that you're going to write is between you, me, and the IQA. You can write what you like here. If you think something's rubbish, say so. Or doesn't make sense, or it would be awkward in terms of the way you've been expected to teach. Then say that. It goes with. I had one learner that she didn't think. When at some point you will be asked about the quality assurance procedures within the organisation that you work with, and she thought they were absolutely rubbish and said so and said why, which was actually great because it gave me that clear understanding that she knew what she was talking about.
Exactly. Yes. So
it was good. So that's the way I expect you to work. When you produce the work, it's from you and what you think. I'm not, I'm not going to judge the way you think about something. That is your right and to have that, to hold that view. So again, that's.
So how many of them should I analyze? Should I do a bit for each one or choose a few?
What you can do is, what I generally do is look at the models that you come up with, do a bit of reading on those and say, no, that doesn't really apply much to me, and I can't see it fitting in, drop it and pick one of the others. You're probably 2 or 3 out of those that you need to discuss and make an analysis of. And usually it's the ones that fit more or less in with what you do.
What I do,
You'll find that 1 or 2 of those will be, we do that, because that's the way you are taught actually when you're in class and working in a school. So
I saw one that I was looking at, a behaviourist one where you get rewarded for your behaviour to promote good behaviour, and that's actually something I've used previously for my one-to-one. So I was like, I related to that.
You will relate to quite a lot of this because it does make a lot of sense, and in a way, it's like. Nowadays, reflection, which is LO5 in here, is used a lot. It was never used in terms of actual, we were taught to do that when I was, a lot younger. But it's something that as a teacher you do automatically. You reflect on what's just happened. You'll come out sometimes from a class and think, that was absolute rubbish. I don't know why I did that. I don't know why I said that, or that didn't fit in at all. Other times you'll come back and, wow, that went great. Everything was perfect. I went through. The students were brilliant. That's the way it works. But you do that reflective, even if it's only in your head, yeah? But what we're taught to do nowadays is record what we think and look at the way we actually do it and match it to actually some of the theorists. Because, as I said, it's not although it is a relatively new concept in terms of...
Okay, bye-bye. Yes, it's my teacher, yes. Okay, bye-bye. Bye-bye. Sorry.
Yeah, although it's relatively new in terms of concept. It's not a new concept. It's relatively new in the way it's actually delivered and taught. But it's not a new concept. It's something that's gone on since teaching began, I think.
Okay.
But it's now done formally rather than informally.
Yes.
So anyway, that's the first part. So analyse theories and principles of models of learning, yeah, and then explain ways in which theories, principles, models of learning can be applied to teaching, learning and assessment. Okay. So then you've got read and respond. Theory can be read and taken from chapter 2 of the book, Teaching and Learning in Higher Education, Enhancing Academic.
Okay, right, take these, go inside. Come back here. You can go and play with those now. Goodbye. You're not allowed in here now. Goodbye. See you. Sorry. You're just very interested.
Don't worry about it. It's a long time since I heard that. My eldest grandchild is 30 this year.
Oh, he's 4 now.
Yeah, so again, make your analysis from the models, audio, visual, all that. So this is looking at models of learning preference, this 1.3. Well, that 1.1 and 1.2, you can read that, but also work from these on here. Yes. So the first part is analysing the theories and principles of learning. The second part is explain ways they can be applied to teaching, learning and assessment in a practical manner, yeah?
Yes.
Then 1.3 goes on to analyse models of learning preference. Now, that goes slightly further than VARC, which is, you're used to, the way people actually learn. But these are applied principles, theories and models, linking aspects of existing practice with theories developing. Oops, where's that gone?
Yes.
Wrong, that was the second part. I knew it was. I was on the wrong page. Don't worry. So, analyse models of learning preference. So, models of learning preference, Honey and Mumford, Gardner's multiple intelligences, Coffield et al. Critique of learning styles, learning preferences dependent on context, and metacognition ability, and set explicit challenging goals to identify strategies to reach these goals and to monitor progress towards these goals. Well, that is part of the assessment process, how you manage that, yeah. So it's like the first bit, 1.1 and 1.2. You're looking at the, let's get back over there, I don't need that. We're looking at models of learning preference with the people on here. Yes. You're then moving on to response to learning preferences, the importance of multicentrally approach to engage all learners, making it an inclusive learning process, yeah?
Yes.
You will never get a class where everybody's of equal ability or disability. So therefore, you have to spread. Sometimes you have to modify perhaps a lesson plan for one or two particular learners for a myriad of reasons, which we'll go into on a different unit. Yeah, but yeah, this is looking at the multisensory approach, introducing alternative learning approaches, enabling individuals to see and question long-held or habitual behaviours, Sadler and Smith, and to understand the strengths and weaknesses to develop a range of learning strategies. Yeah. One of the things that happened, I'm trying to think how long ago it was now, it's about 10 years ago, is that a lot of special needs schools were closed. And where possible, the special needs learners were put into mainstream education.
Right.
Now made difficulty for some of the mainstream education who were not actually set up to do that, and they've had to modify their approaches in the way that they actually do it. Yeah. In many years ago, when we still had 11 plus and grammar schools and so forth, what used to happen was there would be 3 groups. You'd have an A stream group, a B stream group, and then you would have a separate C stream group, and these were the ones with difficulties, yeah, and you would teach them separately. Now, they've gone down that route to a certain extent, but where there are, extreme difficulties, then they've had to form separate groups again, just like we used to many years ago. So, like we say, there's nothing new under the sun. You just have to rearrange it a bit.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah. So, again, that 1.3 is now looking at models of learning preference.
Mm-hmm.
And then 1.4 is explaining how those can be developed into a range of learning strategies that you will need to do in the actual classroom. Yeah. So LO1 is covered really by those 4 assessment criteria. Yeah.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And again, it will then give you the understanding, the application of theory and principles of models of learning in education and training. Yeah. Now, the rest of it is kept to just 2 assessment criteria.
Okay.
And it's separated them out. And the first one is looking at analysing theories, principles and models of communication.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And explain ways in which, the 2.2 again is explain ways in which theories, principles and models of communication can be applied to teaching, learning and assessment. Mm-hmm. I've put a misnomer in there, that can come out now. Again, check your responses in chapter 1 that clearly cover communication processes.
Okay.
Right. That can actually come out now, because it'll be check the application for analysis ideas, and then it'll be explaining where those theories can fit into everyday teaching. What you'll be able to do is the opposite of that. You'll be able to cross-reference 2.2 in here into Unit 1, when you do Unit 1. Yeah.
Right, okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What I'm using is trying to use a holistic approach in this assessment, so that we can use evidence that we present more than once. In fact, on several occasions. So, 2.1 is looking at communication theories, language links to stages of development, Piaget, the role of language on cognitive development, by Kotsky again. Mm-hmm. Transactional styles, Byrne, ego states, cross transactions, interactionist. Those approaches, Bruner on the impact of non-verbal or body language, and elaborates on restricted language code, Bernstein. Other forms of communication, accessibility, paper-based, online, SMOG, measuring readability and so forth. Mm-hmm. The use of chat rooms nowadays as well, synchronous and asynchronous, distance learning, communication, email communication. So there are a whole host of ways nowadays that we use. What have I just said to you before? Phone numbers. Just talk, give me a text. Yeah. It's changing all the time, but all we're doing is using systems that would be there if we were in a classroom.
Yes.
At a distance. Yeah. So you get the same result by using technology. Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, the fact that I can see you there and you can see me here is still magic to me. But
exactly.
That's another thing, yeah. But it works, and it's good, because it doesn't matter whether we're one-to-one, like we are tonight on here, or whether we're part of a group. And depending on how you get on, I have another group that have just completed level 3.
Okay.
And they've done most of units 1 and 2 as well. But one's got to take a sabbatical till June because he's working away. The other one's got held up with no childcare. Ben's he's working and then he's not working, so they've been moving along at a bit of a slower rate. So at some point you may catch them up and we can.
Yeah. Okay. That's my mission now, to catch them up.
Yeah. That's not a ruse, I promise you. So again, yeah, you can see some of the names appearing again. So, but when you, if you go on to, if you Google any of these, make it sure you're looking at models of principles of communication, yeah? Because they've had a lot to say on various things, and this will bring up, obviously, the details of the communication models they've developed, if you like, yeah?
Yes.
And then 2.2, sorry. Again, explain ways in which the theories and principles and models can be applied to teaching. Well, one of the electronic technical ones we've just been discussing now, so I mean, you've got to start on that one.
Exactly.
Verbal, use of video, reviewing sessions. Again, like I said, this will go on to this is recorded and goes on to the VLE, so you'll be able to access that at any time and come back to that. When we have a group, you can actually talk to each other as well. It's not just me and you and me and somebody else.
Okay.
The thing lets in so you can talk to each other as well at the same time. And if you go, yeah. A switch of hand, I can always mute you all.
And it is getting more ideas as well.
Better than a classroom now. So again, yeah, use of voice, cross transactions, impact on behaviour, group versus one-to-one, which we've just been saying now, interaction, motivational language, feedback on process and product, empowering learners and developing learners' communication skills and expression, empathic and responsive, non-verbal, awareness of body language, impact of emotion or ego states, script questions, assess accessibility for those with dyslexia or other forms of learning difficulty, English as an additional language. I get many students with who English is definitely a second language, and they've reached a level to be able to manage this course. So you know they've achieved quite a lot. But we have some on the lower qualifications at level 3 who are still, they're probably only at level 1 on English. They're working through that and doing some English practice at the same time. So
I've come across that where I was in a workshop for my youngest nursery. We were doing something called Healthy Gems, and there was a lady next to me, or another parent like myself. She could read what was in front of her, but she couldn't understand it to the full extent. So it was giving her a hand to, you know. So I understand what you're saying. That issue there.
It's speech comes first.
Yes.
Reading and writing come second in that order. Yeah. And the bit from reading to writing is comprehension.
Yes.
And it's learning to comprehend exactly what's being asked for. And that's why I each one of these starts, if you can see, with explain, analyse, explain, analyse. And those, not just these, in this one it is explain and analyse all the way through, but others obviously it'll be describe, or it'll be, you know, there'll be a whole host. And I've always been quite hot on those because they tell you specifically what you must be doing. I came across some this afternoon that I was looking at where it had been ignored to a certain extent. And it was asking them to personally to do something, and then they'd just written about what you should do. Right,
so they're not personalised it to themselves.
Although what they'd written wasn't wrong, it was a process rather than a personal account. So consequently, it didn't meet the assessment criteria. So anyway, I'm digressing there, but this is why those are so important.
Yes.
So again, non-verbal, awareness of body language, impact. I'll tell you a little story about that. When I did my teacher training in Leeds, many, many years ago, I had a tutor who videoed the sessions. Because one of the things you have to do a 20-minute lecture, a 1-hour lecture, and then a 2-hour lecture. And you've got to build all your own resources, all the rest of it. And one of the things I didn't realise was that when I was standing in front, and it was one of those setups, you know, where you got the desk in like a U shape, and you're in the middle, what I didn't realise that I'd do, I use my hands a lot when I'm speaking, but I tended to step forward and then step back. and then step forward the other way and step back as I was talking, yeah. And the very kind tutor at the end played the video extremely fast, and it looked like I was doing the okey-cokey. Put your right foot in, your right foot out. And everybody had a good laugh, really. A good job I took it in good part. But yeah, this is something that you awareness of body language is important, because sometimes you can come over as quite threatening, yeah, in terms of how you actually deliver the material. You've got to be aware of what you're doing and how you're actually, and it was sort of a good lesson to me in that respect. I still use my hands a lot.
But you're not stepping into it, you're more aware.
Yeah. But that's because I again, going back to VARC and learning preferences, I didn't realise that I was almost a completely visual learner. And I think that shows in the way I actually deliver. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a visual learner as well. I like to see things in front of me and then apply it to what I'm. Yeah.
If somebody's droning on for hours on end with no interaction, I'm nodding off. But if somebody puts a video on or puts a piece of equipment on the table or something like that, I'm there, right, and I'm learning. But it took me a long time to find that out. So I'm not going to go beyond 2.2.
Okay.
Have you made a start on any of this yet?
I've had a read through and I made some notes of some of the things that you'd put on here, and I'd read the book as well. And I've read a few chapters. I read I think it was from page 93 onwards with the section, and then I had a bit. I think on the paperwork mentioned to read chapter 2 as well.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, so I had a little bit of a read of that. So I was but then I stopped doing it yesterday because I think I felt like I was confusing myself because I hadn't. Yeah. This
is something that's important. I tend to make my lectures half an hour to 3/4 most, because you can put too much information in. And again, it's something I do teacher observations now. And one of the things you learn to do as an observer is you learn to look at the body language, look at the way it's being delivered, and how fast it's being delivered.
Yes.
Sometimes some people tend to be worried about gaps or silences. And actually, when you're delivering material, it's absolutely important that you have those, because A, it gives your student time to speak, and B, it gives you time to think more clearly what you want to say, so that you can slow down a little bit, just take the edge off it and relax a little bit, and it comes over a lot more clear to the student every time. So yeah, one of those, when you start to do things like that, it's then when you're observing others that you learn things for yourself as well. I must remember to do that.
Yeah. I when I do get gaps in teaching, I sort of tend to process the information given previously a lot more, because then you get time to write a note down and things, so it helps.
Yeah, well, that's the whole point. And the other thing about this process is that I don't want to, obviously I want the work to come in, but I'm not going to be behind you saying, where's your work? Unless there's a big space before it comes in. It's to be done at your own pace, and I hope it's going to be an enjoyable experience. As we work through the
well, I hope to do it, because my plan is to today's lesson try and get my work in for the next week, so that I can keep on top of things, because hopefully if I do that, I think it'll be a lot easier for me, rather than letting it all pile up.
Obviously, I don't do a word count as such on these, but you'll find it'll grow as you work through. In other words, like for instance, your analyses will be longer than your explanation.
Yes.
Not always, but usually, because obviously you've had to go a little bit deeper into something and explain whys and the wherefores of that, and then explaining how that fits in. Probably only one of those theories or principles, or two at the most, will actually fit. Yeah. So you can actually, you'll probably concentrate on those to explain how those fit in. Yeah. And it takes obviously less writing to do that. So again, LO1 and 2 is maximum. I don't want to give you any more than that at this point. There's quite a bit, because actually LO1 is almost like 2 learning objectives in one, if you like.
Exactly.
But then the others, again, follow the same pattern. I'll just quickly look at those. I don't want you to listen too much to what I'm saying in terms of the detail, but I just want to point out that they're exactly the same procedure. Analyse theories, explain ways in which they can be applied. Yeah? And that one is assessment. The next one is curriculum development, how curriculum is developed, yeah? So it's looking at those theories and models and then explain how those can be developed and applied in developing curriculum in your own area of specialism, yeah? 5.1 comes to what I mentioned earlier on, reflection and evaluation. So you're looking at models of reflection and evaluation and explain ways in which those can be applied when you review your own practice, yeah? A whole host of things in there. There's a handout, the reflective teacher. I put some handouts and bits and pieces on there. What I'll do is I'll just cover those before we close tonight. Shut that down. Yes. Shut. Gone. So the ebook you've got anyway, yeah? You say you've got the hard copy one now, or paperback? Yeah?
Sorry, your voice broke up a little bit. I didn't hear.
Right, sorry. On this one, on Unit 3, did you, the ebook, teaching and training, yeah?
Yes.
Was it you that asked me for the hard copy?
Oh, yes, that's because I've been getting really blurry eyes because of the laptop, and I find it easier to sit down in my spare time with the book than on the laptop, so I thought it'd be easier.
Yeah, that's it. Well, actually, with the what I find sometimes with the ebook, you can expand it so it's bigger writing. Yeah. Yeah. You can magnify it. Sometimes I prefer to magnify it and just sit and look at it for a while, and you're looking at smaller bits of it then. Yeah. That's true. It doesn't overpower you when you read it through it. Yeah. It's a good idea that actually. I use that quite a lot. The cover sheet and spec sheet. Yeah. The amplification we've just looked at. There's a PowerPoint here for LOs. There's some of unit of LO1, LO3, LO4, and LO5 on that one. LO2 on that one, and LO4 on that one. Now, I'm not going to sit here and give you a dose of PowerPoint. Well, I'll just open one up. Or I hope I'll open one up. Yes, I will. It's getting there. Yeah. Yeah, so it's theories, principles and models. Yeah. So it's looking at a whole host of different things. Yeah.
Anyone remember what I was talking about?
Yeah, I lost some intellectual property here last night. Anybody remember what the hell I was talking about? So, yeah, it looks at copyright, yeah? What do you understand about copyright and how does it affect your teaching role? Again, this is looking at if you're using material from elsewhere, you know, what you need to be aware of, stuff like that, yeah? Is that
not just straight out photocopying reams and reams of things?
Yeah, you've got to be a little bit careful on some of those, yeah. Yes. Whoops. So this is just giving background information, yeah. Always worth a read, yeah. If you're stuck, I'm not sure about something. Copyright quiz. 30 minutes to research and find out the statements are true or false, yeah? Good luck. Berne Copyright Convention. So it just goes through that and you can just have a look at that. A CA license entitled to copy whole works, there are restrictions, yeah? It can say a whole range of different things, yeah? Whose article from the journal and so forth. These short PowerPoints are really just, I think it's probably more than about 20 of these. 25 on this one, I've just spotted that. it looks at the different things or takes a different subject, yeah, and covers it in some detail on there. Yeah.
Okay.
What's in the public domain? One of the things you can use a lot is, like I've just said now, you go to Google and put specific things in, it will give you information. Now that information is in the public domain, so you can actually use that as the basis for something that you're going to write. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. But this is where you're going to copy it and issue it to other people, like your own learners, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a whole loads of things in here. Give you some background material, yeah. Cautionary tale.
You know that, because I think on day-to-day working, we probably end up doing things that we shouldn't, and we're not realizing that we've done it. So
yeah,
it is good to know about it.
I'm fairly ambivalent about copyright, to be honest. I think there should be a time limit on it personally. But that's just my personal view. I mean, if I think back, in the 1970s, as a mechanical engineer, you know the Thames flood barrier?
Yes.
You've probably seen bits of it on television, like pontoons across the river.
Yeah, I saw it when it was snowing quite a bit a few years ago, and they did a thing on it. Yeah.
And there was like yellow bits in the middle, wasn't there?
Yeah.
Those brightly yellow painted bits, I made all those and fitted them in 73, I think it was, something like that.
Wow.
Why do I not get a payment every time they open and shut it?
Because it's not your own copy, it's not your design, or I don't know.
But I made it.
True.
You can have as many designs as you like, but if you've got nobody to make it, then they're stuck.
You know, if I got money for every bite of food that this law ate, I'd be a millionaire by now.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, those are there for you to have so look at some background information, just to give you a break from actually reading reams and reams of material and so forth.
That's right.
So again, the suggested evidence and the amplification are the two main documents that you'll probably use across this. The ebook, again, it will give you further background information, and some of these are specific to linking theory to practice. 101, 103, 104, and 105 on there.
So should I read linking theories to practice also?
Yeah, that linking theory to practice is, again, that's a good little PowerPoint on there, yeah.
Yeah.
So all this material is there for your use. Use as much or a little of it as you need, and if you're stuck with anything at all, don't forget to contact me. Yeah.
Fantastic. And what email address do I use to submit my work?
Easy. Learner work, all one word.
Learner work.
At.
Yep.
ukversity.co.uk.
Oh, that's easy.
Yeah.
And do I need to put your name on it, or does it just automatically?
Anything with it, put it into Learner work. It will automatically fire it to me.
Okay.
I'll pick it up from there. You will you may get emails from me, but those will be from my work's email. It can just say phil@ukversity.co.uk.
Okay.
And obviously you can send me an email anytime rather than text or whatever. If you've got your machine up, or I'll just send him a quick mail. Obviously I won't pick that up as quick as a text, but it can get picked up just the same.
Okay.
So again, don't be shy. If you need any information, want to progress when I'm not there, just let me know.
Fantastic, thank you.
Have you got any further questions for me this evening?
No, I think we're quite set. Hopefully I'll have a bit of a read on this and try and get a good start. But if not, you'll be hearing from me.
I've got to say, don't worry about it. We'll get there, don't worry. Yeah.
Brilliant. And if I do send some work to you and it's not quite up to par, you'll just let me know and then send it back.
Right, what I want you to do is, when you've done LO1 and LO2, I want you to send me the work in.
Okay.
Yeah? I will then set you up with a front sheet. Yeah? And what I tend to do then is all what you've done, I will mark in review on Word. You understand that, do you?
Yes, I do. Yes.
You get a bubble at the side with my comments in. Yeah. Now, don't be worried if you get bubbles that just say okay, yes, good, or whatever. That means it's achieved. Yeah.
Okay.
That's just a note for me that when I actually write the assessment up at the top, you'll see it as we progress through this. It tells me that's achieved. I don't need to look anymore at that. I just need to put the assessment in. Any that are not achieving for whatever reason, I'll put exactly what needs to be done. Yeah?
Okay, that's good. Yes.
I'll point in exactly, you need to look at such and such a thing, this needs to be included in to meet blah, blah, blah. Yeah?
Okay.
So that you'll get a complete picture of that. When I'll just bring, I don't know whether I've got rid of both of those. I'll bring that one back up. It looks very much the same, actually. I will save that and open it. Just before we go. I can open that again now, make it bigger. Oh, now I am getting away, it's a hard one. Right. Basically, it looks exactly the same, this, although it will say assessment front sheet. It will have your name on it and your registration number, if I can find it. It will say Unit 3, exactly that on there, and it will say achieved. Which will be a slightly smaller box, and this one will not say not yet achieved, it will say page number. Yeah.
Okay.
This will not say this in here, this will have if that say that's achieved, I will write here why it's achieved.
Okay, for your comments, yes.
And here, when that's achieved, it will have why it's achieved in there. And in other words, the assessment will take place in an ongoing process. But what I've found is that if learners send me the first 2 learning objectives in, there are some corrections to be made, then you take heed of those corrections as you move through the rest of the unit. And usually when the rest of the unit comes in, it's right. Yeah? There may be, little bits to tidy or whatever, that's not relevant. But the main thing is that it's a good pointer with the first two learning objectives. Yeah.
That's true.
So again, all this will disappear and you'll get my assessment in there as it goes on, or you'll see a note, this and this, yeah.
To be done, yeah.
At the end, when you've got A's all down there and all your page numbers are in that you've put it on, I will then, it says actions needed to achieve yellows, I will put well done, finished, why you've finished and how good you've done. It'll get my name on here, it will get my signature in there, and it will have the date on when it's completed. And
with all of this work, should I, once I've achieved the objectives and the unit, should I print them out and actually physically put them in a folder?
Right. You can put them in a folder of your own there, but when it comes into me to learn a work and it's complete, it goes into learner work and is stored there.
Oh, okay.
Because obviously, under data protection, nobody else can go into that. It's encrypted, so there's only me and the IQA can actually look at that.
So that I don't have to print anything out and make a physical folder at home then?
Oh, no, you don't need to do that at all. It's completely electronic. There's no point in wasting paper. As long as you've got an electronic copy of the completed unit when we've finished, I will send it to you when it's complete, but I will also make sure it goes into learner work and it's stored.
Okay.
But the beauty of that is that each unit is then, as it's completed, it's not only delivered, it's assessed as well and signed off. So that when we've gone through all the units, the last unit, when that's finished and signed off, you're done. There's no waiting for somebody else to IQA all this and this, that and the other. It's all done, the assessment's finished.
As it goes on, yes.
And hopefully that won't take you too long.
Hopefully.
The average, to give me some idea, the average time for this course is around about 10 months.
Okay.
To get through the whole process. But again, it's up to you. Some people have gone through quicker, some people have taken longer. Depends on your own personal circumstances. But the thing to remember that we will be on once a week and you've got my support all the way through.
Yes, thank you.
Okay then, I think we'll call that a talk for this evening. I've said enough.
Thank you.
So I will now say bye for now and speak to you next week.
Speak to you next week. Thank you.
Bye, Aisha.
Thanks. Bye.